Welcome back to Grand Slam Sports. My name is Jay Saj. Alongside me is Jackson Strasburger. No Charles Foster today. He's taking a little vacation out in Denver. But we will begin today talking about the NFL, looking into the Chargers and the Vikings. The Chargers, first off, a loss at home against the Colts last week, a rough one. They bounced back in supreme fashion, taking down the Minnesota Vikings 37-10. The Chargers looked really good in this game. Herbert looked really good in this game, Jackson.
Yeah, on every single facet. They played just fantastic football from their offense. I mean, you mentioned Herbert. He threw one pick, which was a rough one to throw, but except for outside of that, he was making great passes through the air, great runs on the ground, finding Ladd McConkey. I want to give him a shout out. He's been struggling early through this year, finds his kind of groove, and then the new tight end, Gadsden. Yeah, he's been fantastic these past 2 weeks, and I mean, this Chargers offense is really looking up.
And outside of Rondé Gadsden, they have another new guy as well at the running back position in Kamani Vidal, who's in his second year out of Troy University. He's looked really good. He's now had two 100-plus yard games with the losses of Najee Harris and Amarian Hampton. He fills in now as that third running back, but he's looked better than maybe both of them so far in his 3 games he's played.
Yeah, and I mean, those were two rough losses very early on. I mean, you lose Hampton. He has a great game. The next week he comes back and he gets hurt. That was just an unfortunate loss. And then following that, you lose some offensive linemen. Slater's been out all year. Joe Alt has been out for most of the year, playing last night, but he left for a couple snaps with the injury. And Mekhi Becton, the guard, he got hurt a little bit last game. He's been playing through injury because he's pretty much the only offensive lineman that team has. So you have to make this new running game with your third running back and pretty much your entire second team as your offensive line.
But when you look into the Vikings now, and Carson Wentz, well, he's still Carson Wentz. He's still, we know Carson Wentz can be and still is similarly to how he was in Indianapolis and these other games he played elsewhere. But Carson Wentz, he didn't have a good game. Let's just put it that way. And the Vikings, they only ran the ball 11 total times with the different running backs, only about 20-something yards on the ground. The Vikings, their offense right now without McCarthy is just, well, broken.
Yeah, I think you can favor the Chargers defense for that. And I don't know if McCarthy would really fix it, but I know for a fact that if you can run the ball, that would change it. Aaron Jones had 5 carries, 15 yards in his first game back. And, I mean, you look at your leading rusher, who had 2 carries. That's Scott, who with 16 yards. You had to throw the ball. The rush stop was there, but even the passing game wasn't there either.
And Vikings defense a little bit injured as well. They had guys like Oliver Darrisaw go down last night alongside Jonathan Grenard, who also had a very good game with 2 tackles for loss last night. All of them going down with injuries in last night's ball game. The Vikings are a little bit unhealthy right now on the defensive side of things, which you can probably get credit to the 37 points allowed on the defensive end.
Yeah, but I don't know if this game goes a different way if they are healthy. I still think the Chargers win it. This game might be a little closer. But I think the Chargers are the better team, healthy or not. They played through their injury. I think at this point it's hard to really blame injury on anybody, on any team. We see a lot of teams that are down players. The Bengals just got their new quarterback, and they're winning games now after losing, a top 3 quarterback in the league. So you have to look at, is injuries the causing factor, or is it your team is struggling?
Someone who wasn't injured but was retired and is returning to the NFL is Brandon Graham, a part of that Eagles Super Bowl winning team last season, retired in the offseason, says, you know what, I'll come back. You see Smith retire for the Eagles. You see other defensive edge rushers going out with injuries. So Brandon Graham's like, okay, I can come back. I'll help this team out. So Brandon Graham returning to the Eagles on a 1-year, $4.8 million deal.
Yeah, him retiring surprised me in the first place, but then coming back, I think this is what the Eagles need. I found some stats on how the defense has been doing, and they've been struggling. 19th in the league in allowing passing yards, 22nd in rushing yards, and 23rd in total defense in the league. They definitely need something to help pick them up, and I think a leader, a veteran, can be someone who does that.
But how do you see him performing? Obviously, for him, he kind of had the storybook ending. He wins the Super Bowl. He's 37 years old. He's won 2 now in Philadelphia in his 15-year career. They're kind of a new ending for Brandon Graham. But how do you see him benefiting this team? He's 37 years old now. He's obviously on the tail end of what we thought was the end of his career. How much of an impact is he actually going to have at this age?
Well, I said I don't think he's. I think he's going to be this veteran presence, this leader, instead of this leader on the field or in the locker room. He's seen 2 Super Bowls. He's seen a lot. He's a great player, and he's been through it. But now you have to look at, I don't think he's going to play at the same high level he was, but I think when he's on that field, it makes the younger guys kind of step up.
And for the Eagles, they're now 5-2 on the year, and they're taking on a team this weekend who they've already lost to, the New York Giants. They lost that surprising game on Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago. Do you expect Graham to have an impact on this game coming out in his first game back?
No, not really. I don't think it's going to be a game-changing impact. I think he'll definitely be able to make some plays, get in the backfield, cause disruption. I just don't think he's going to be 3 sacks like you would see prime Brandon Graham be doing.
You know who else is back, Jackson? Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is supposed to return this weekend to take on the Chicago Bears. He's still to be determined. He was still limited in practice yesterday, but he is expected to play against Chicago Bears, and this comes at a very timely time for the Baltimore Ravens. Jackson, they are 1-5 on the season. Do you know how many teams that have been 1-5 have made the playoffs?
I do not.
4. 4 teams in NFL history have made the playoffs when they began the season 1-5. The most recent being the 2020 Washington Commanders, who I put an asterisk on because they went 7-9 and they won their division. So the most recent winning record was the Indianapolis Colts in 2018. So it's a very hard feat to do, but they have an extra game to do it now compared to those other 4 teams. They have now a 17-game season rather than the 16-game season.
Well, yeah, I see it happening another 5th time. I mean, let's look at their next 6 games.
I have them written down too.
Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets. They should win 5 out of those most likely. And I mean, in a division that's a hard division, but the Bengals are struggling. And I don't think they're winning it. I'm going to put that out there. They're not going to win this division. The Steelers have that. And if the Bengals can pick something up, I think they can win it too. But the Ravens have a chance to make that wild card spot.
Call me crazy. If Lamar stays healthy here and the Ravens can be what I think they can be, we saw them week 1 against Buffalo. They should have won that game. Time in, time out. But they lost the game. The season kind of derailed from there. Call me crazy. I think they win this division. Pittsburgh, to me, is not who people assume they are. They have played a very easy schedule. They have not really faced much opposition, but when they have fallen in those games. And the Ravens, to me, yes, they're 1-5, but they still have all these divisional games in the back end of their schedule that are going to be games that they can go out and win. And if they do, that's going to propel them on top of the division pretty quickly because they have an easy schedule with these Browns, with the Dolphins, with the Bears, with the Vikings, with the Jets, the Bengals twice, Steelers twice. It's going to be a much easier schedule, a much easier path for the Ravens to come out of this 1-5 hole.
I don't think that's crazy to say that they can win their division. I just don't see a world where that happens. I think
that would require probably like 9 out of 11 wins in the season.
And I don't even know if they can win. I said if they win 5 out of the next 6, they can make the playoffs. I think their only loss comes to the Vikings, maybe the Bears this week because this is the week you get Lamar back. Let him kind of get comfortable, but at least he gets comfortable against the Bears and not like the Bills who they've already played.
I feel like we're calling the Bears an easy team, which this year they aren't as easy as they have been. The Bears are much improved from the past seasons, under the new head coach Ben Johnson. What do you see in this Bears team could cause problems for Lamar in his first game back?
I really like this their DBs, their secondaries with their. I mean, you have their offense, that's great, but then their secondary can definitely step up, make some plays. I think they're an easier team than the Ravens. They played the Bills close, and I know it's Lamar Jackson's first game back. You never know what you can do after an injury, but I still think this is an easier game for the Ravens.
Jackson, Lamar pre-injury was pretty darn good. In the Buffalo game, 2 touchdowns. Looking back to that Cleveland game, 4 touchdown throws. He wasn't doing it as much on the ground outside of the Week 1 game against Buffalo, but Lamar Jackson is vastly improved in the throwing aspect of his game. So we'll see how that affects him heading into this game against the Chicago Bears, how much of an impact the injury is going to have on his game. Do you see it having an impact? Do you see it causing some problems for Lamar's first game back?
I don't know if it's going to cause problems. It might get him to play a little scared, at least through the first quarter or so, just because, you come back from an injury. It's hard to come back from an injury in any sport. You're going to play a little scared, especially a contact sport like football. But I don't think it's going to cause problems later in the game. I think he'll get settled, he'll find his groove, and it'll be just fine.
The Ravens are 1-5. It's definitely a tough task to come back from 1-5. Not many teams have done it in NFL history, but the Ravens seems like the team that can do it because they have the roster, they have Derrick Henry, they have the receiver, they have the line, they have the defensive talent. Especially the Ravens team looks primed to maybe make a run at the playoffs out of a 1-5 hole. But when we come back, take a look at the World Series, Major League Baseball next on Grand Slam Sports. Let's take a look into the battle of the countries. Jackson, the World Series this year between Canada and America, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays. This year's World Series, their first ever matchup in the Fall Classic. What are we going to expect out of this? Very good pitching, very good hitting from both sides. It's going to be a good World Series.
Yeah, statistically, it's supposed to be very good pitching, very good hitting. You think the Dodgers have the best, you think best lineup in baseball with a great rotation on the side of it. But recently, you haven't seen that great lineup. Against the Brewers, they weren't putting up insane numbers, putting up top 5 runs. And the one game they lost to the Phillies, well, not the one game they lost to the Phillies, is when they allowed 8 runs. So it really comes down to that pitching on both sides. I think it comes down to the pitching for the Dodgers if they can limit the Blue Jays. But when the Blue Jays score 8 or more runs, they win. So I think that's part of it too. You got to see the offense of the Blue Jays versus the pitching of the Dodgers, and that'll be your interesting battle for this one.
And we have seen Toronto hitting the actual crap out of the ball with Vladimir Guerrero Jr., George Springer in that Game 7 against the Seattle Mariners. Dalton Varsho's hitting baseballs. Ernie Clement's hitting baseballs. Everyone in this lineup is hitting the ball at a very high rate right now in the playoffs. And that's my concern for the Dodgers. Yes, their pitching is good, but the Jays are the best contact team maybe in the MLB.
Absolutely. And you mentioned some of these names. I'll give you some stats. Vlad is hitting 442 with 6 home runs. Clemente is hitting 429. That's the biggest surprise to me, and he's been a game changer. Getting 11 hits and 11 runs is Springer as well. So you see a lot of this, they're not just getting on base, they're scoring. And that's big. When your leadoff hitter is getting 11 runs and he's scoring, I mean, that changes the game.
I think it's a story for most series, but I think this series comes down to the bullpen. Both of these teams' bullpens are question marks heading into this game. And the Dodgers, they're going to be without Alex Vesia for the foreseeable future due to his family concerns and whatnot. And the Blue Jays bullpen, well, it's looked okay in the playoffs, but it hasn't looked phenomenal. You still have the threat of, Hoffman, but Hoffman has had a few blown saves at times. And the Dodgers, they aren't a perfect bullpen team either.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think this is a bullpen game. You see the starting pitching has been great. Savage is getting the ball versus Snell. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better matchup. Snell has been the best pitcher in the playoffs, in my opinion. Second lowest ERA in the team by like 0.2. Glasnow leads that. But, I mean, he's been just fantastic against any lineup you put at him. And now, I think I'm going to give you a stat real quick, just to show you something. So, since the League Series has gone to 7 games, there's been one time that a team has swept on one side of the bracket and a team has gone 7 on the other side of the bracket. All 4 times, the team that has went 7 has won the World Series. And I know it's a low.
I'm not surprised, honestly.
And there's a reason for this, I think, that in baseball you don't really get breaks. And when you get a week break like the Dodgers are getting, you don't know how to react to that. You don't know what to do for a week and then start playing baseball. The Blue Jays have been playing. They've been playing at the highest level, too. So they've won their last 2 games against one last game against the Mariners at least with a 3-run home run, big 3-run home run. And then, I mean, that's what's going to change your game is because you've been playing, you're already hot, these bats are hot, the pitching's hot, the defense has been standing out. So I think that's where you have to look. And
I think Game 1 is going to be that telltale sign. If the Jays come out here and just actually smack the Dodgers, I think it's going to be a really rough series for the Dodgers moving forward, especially with the home field advantage that Toronto has at the Rogers Center. It's really good, home field advantage. And looking at Game 1 tonight, Blake Snell, Trey Savage, Jackson, World Series pick, who do you got?
I say Blue Jays in 7.
Blue Jays in 7. I'm going to go Dodgers in 6. I like their starting pitching a lot. I think they're a little bit too much for the Blue Jays hitting-wise. But we're going to pivot now from baseball, and we're going to head into the NBA, talking about, to begin, the Houston Rockets. They opened the season against Oklahoma City Thunder. They went to double overtime, the first of 2 double OT games for the Thunder, by the way. Crazy stuff. But the Rockets, we're talking about, are they the real deal? They have a very good lineup on paper with Alperen Sengun and Kevin Durant and Amin Thompson. They look like a really good team. But to me, Jackson, the concern is there's no ball handler on this team.
Yes, last year we looked at this team and we were like, where's their offense come from? They have a lot of defensive categories, but Sengun is their only spot. They pick up KD, which is the best scorer of all time. I don't think you can get much more offense than that, and I think they proved, I mean, KD had a fantastic game. He had 23. Sengun had 39. You get focused on one player. They tried locking down KD. They couldn't even do that, and that opened up something for Sengun. And it looks like he learned something from KD doing hezzy step backs and shooting the ball real well. But, I mean, this Rocket team, the defense looks good. The offense looks good. They just played the champion team to a double overtime, and they kept it close to the very end. The final score being 125-124. And, I mean, just one shot. Even so much could change that game.
My thing is, with no true point guard, you lose Fred VanVleet in the offseason due to that injury. They just don't have that true ball handler to distribute out to these scorers like Kevin Durant, like Alperen Sengun. Obviously, they're going to be a very post and kind of mid-range centric team. They don't have that guy that can pop out and hit a 3. I mean, Thompson at times, maybe, but Thompson's still a more defensive-centric guy. They're kind of missing that 3 and D kind of player probably and that point guard.
Yeah, you mentioned their defense. I mentioned it too, but I just really didn't break it down how I wanted to. You really think they kept a double overtime game and it was at 125-124. That's a low-scoring game. That's the reason they went so far last year was because of this defense, not because of their offense, not because they could score the ball, because they could stop the other team. And that's so important, I think, especially in this game of basketball where it's just offense, offense, offense. And now you get to see a team slow it down, play at their pace, and control the defensive side.
I think we're seeing defenses start to reign supreme a little more in the NBA. Last season, you saw Oklahoma City. They had very good defense. They went very far. And the Pacers, the reason they weren't a contender was because they didn't have a defense yet. But their defense was significantly better towards the end of the season, which is why they made the finals, because their defense was playing very, very well. We're seeing defense now in the NBA and take that next step forward.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's crucial to how the game's going. I mean, you can definitely tell viewers' ratings are going down, and teams, when you get defense, when you don't get who's going to drop 150 points every week. I mean, you get to have fun games. You get to keep them closer. Like these, we've seen already 2 double overtime games. We saw the Celtics game lose by 1 point, 117, 116. That's a 76ers Celtics going 117, 116.
You mentioned the Celtics. We're talking about them now alongside the Indiana Pacers. Both of these teams obviously losing their stars to torn Achilles last year in the playoffs, Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton respectively. Both of these teams lost very close first games. Boston loses to Philadelphia by a point, like you mentioned. The Pacers falling last night at home against OKC, also in double overtime. But the Pacers and the Celtics, Jackson, how do they bounce back? How do they maintain their stay atop the Eastern Conference without their stars?
I think it's a completely different way for each team. I think for the Pacers, you look at what did Tyrese Halliburton bring? And he brought this ball movement, this different kind of play, this quick one dribble pass or one dribble shoot. And that's something you don't see in a lot of teams, especially anymore. They usually give it to your scorer and let him score. But Halliburton wasn't a scorer. And he was able to give it to Siakam down low, give it to Nembhard to shoot a 3. He was able to find, in this entire team, he didn't really have a scorer per se, because you had 4 scorers in one night, and it's whose night it was, and then Halliburton would find them. Or it would be Halliburton's night. He would be able to shoot. Then you look on the Celtics side. Jason Tatum was an all-around player. He could pass, he could rebound, he could score, he could play defense. And I mean, he could do everything at a high level, and then you lose that. I think you just need Jaylen Brown to pick up the scoring. I mean, his defense has obviously struggled, but he has the offensive ability, and Derek White to pick up the defense, or a big to pick up the defense, finding where can we – you're not going to get one player to fix Tatum. That's someone, an all-star level caliber player that you just can't replace in one night.
And I think, to me, personally, this is obvious that the Halliburton injury affects the Pacers more than the Tatum injury affects the Celtics. Because Boston still has that bona fide star in Jaylen Brown, and they still have the talent around them with Derek White and Peyton Pritchard and Anthony Simons now in a Boston uniform. The Pacers, their main ball handler now is Andrew Nembhard, and, well, he got hurt last night. Yeah. And they're already down T.J. McConnell. They currently have no point guards. Jackson, last night we saw Talon Peter, the 54th pick of the NBA draft, play 17 minutes. And we saw Johnny Furphy in the game in double overtime the last 4 minutes of the game because 3 different Pacers fouled out. It's a rough go for the Pacers. I mean, they have the depth, but they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now. And also, the bigs for both teams, to me, are a big question. Because, I mean, Boston, they're rolling out with Neemias Queta at the center position, Sam Hauser at power forward. The Pacers are going with Jay Huff, Isaiah Jackson, James Wiseman, Tony Bradley, kind of a rotation at center, trying to figure out who that center is. Both of these teams are lacking a center right now. Yeah,
I 100% agree, especially with your Pacers. I think the Pacers hurt more, but then you mentioned the bigs. The Celtics get rid of Al Horford, and, I mean, they don't get rid of him, but Al Horford goes to Golden State, and that's a big loss. I mean, the defense he brought, the veteran presence, I think that's one of the biggest things, especially in an NBA locker room, with there only being about 15 guys, and a couple guys are in and out on two-way contracts, but the veteran presence, you get a guy who's won a couple rings. He's been to the playoffs. He knows how to win games at a different level than some of these rookies coming in, some of these younger guys. And now you give him away to Golden State. They have got a great guy over there now. But then Boston, I think that's where they're going to struggle, is inside the paint defensively.
Let's get into the news of the week in the NBA. There's been a lot of arrests made by the FBI in the gambling probes. Terry Rozier, Chauncey Billups, the 2 main ones that were announced yesterday. Terry Rozier, the Heat guard, and Billups was the head coach of the Trailblazers, who just coached the night before he got arrested as the head coach of the Trailblazers. This is big-time news for the NBA, Jackson.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's awful to hear. You get this, Chauncey Billups was a great coach for Portland. I think he was a great hire and a great pickup. He knows the game well, and then, I mean, his story is even crazier than Terry Rozier. He wasn't even selling games. He was playing illegal poker games and rigging those. So, and then.
But then again, there's still the allegations that he was telling people, "Oh, we're going to tank this game. Oh, we're not going to play these players this game." He was still giving insider info, which obviously you cannot do in the NBA.
Absolutely, and I mean, the mob ties to this, alleged mob ties to this, are a big deal and a great, it brings to the NBA what else is happening. Because then you look at Terry Rozier, both arrested at 6 a.m. on the same time, and he was I mean, he would fake injuries and not play, so he would hit the under. Or he would try to avoid making bad plays, so he would hit the under and help himself make some more money.
And I mean, I think there's going to be a long-term impact here on the NBA. And you got to wonder now about the integrity of the game. How many other players are going to be involved in this? There's players definitely do this. They just don't get caught. It's definitely a thing because players, they're all about the money. I mean, they're getting paid millions of bucks, but they still want more money. They still want to help their friends out, make money and whatnot. There's definitely more players that are tied to this that haven't been fully announced yet or they haven't proven it yet. You just got to wonder about the integrity of the NBA right now.
I don't remember how many. I think it was somewhere around 40 players total, 40 people arrested in this gambling ring. And then you look at Terry Rozier or some other players. Terry Rozier was getting investigated for multiple years. This isn't just something that just came out of nowhere. I mean, he probably didn't know, obviously, or he would have stopped. But, I mean, it's going on time and time again. And we see, you even go back to the 90s, you saw a lot of gambling with Michael Jordan and other players. Is this coming back is the question we ask now.
And, for the FBI, the director, Kash Patel, said it's just the tip of the iceberg, and they're still continuing the investigation. So there's definitely more things going on out there that obviously have not been publicly announced because they don't want to, basically ruin the surprise to the players that are doing this. But definitely something to watch over the course of the season if this continues to be the trend. But that will be the end of the NBA conversation. We'll get into the NHL next, talk about the Canes and the Avalanche on Grand Slam Sports.
And welcome back to Grand Slam, where we are now talking about hockey. Alyssa on the table for this one. And we're going to start off with Hurricanes versus the Avalanche. And we've had some friends take a trip to Denver, able to watch the game. Charles, why don't you give us your insight?
Thank you, guys. We had the luxury of actually going to the Avalanche versus Hurricanes game today, and what a game it was. And Trent Miner, that's the player I want to focus on. He went in, got subbed in midway through the first period, and he looked phenomenal throughout that game. But holding the Hurricanes to a shutout, only allowed a goal in the shootout in the end. And what a game from both of those teams, and Trent Miner as well, in just his third career start. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Charles, for that insight on the game. You're completely right. The Avs gave up 4 goals early on to the Canes and able to get the new goalie in there, able to stop him. How do you come back from that?
I mean, that new goalie really was what saved the Avalanche. I mean, after not being able to save 4 goals out of 11 shots, that's crazy. You're playing at a national league. That should not be happening. So having Trent Miner come in, just coming back after the first quarter, being able to save, he made 20 saves without allowing a single goal in. I mean, making that switch was what the team had to do. That was the right choice.
Like you said, it was almost a shutout. Well, for him, it was a shutout coming in there and then only allowing 1 extra goal, and that was counting in the shootout. So it doesn't really go against his stats. Yeah. But we haven't really said the score yet. I mean, a fantastic game all the way through, but it came down to 5-4 in the shootouts. And the Avs were able to come back. They were down 4-1 after the first period. I mean, the offense, you have to talk about that as well.
Yeah, the offense. They really did their best with what they had to do. I mean, making sure that they knew where the puck was at, making sure their coordinates was all together. That offense was pretty strong throughout the team, and just making sure that they fought all the way to the end. They fought for that overtime. They made another goal in the overtime as well. They fought, making sure, going to the 5-4, they really wanted that win. And with their records against each other, they could have had that win.
Yeah, absolutely. The Hurricanes getting out this one with that shootout goal, but the Avalanche, you can't go against that. You look at Barkov, who had 2 shots, didn't get anything to go in. Colton had that 1 assist, a big assist, but it was really, in the end, that shootout that really gave it to him. But another team that we see struggling to get pucks into the net is the San Jose Sharks, getting their first win last night thanks to a hat trick from Macklin Celebrini, I mean, he's definitely been the answer to the Sharks' problems.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Sharks, they needed that win. We're 2 weeks into the season. Not having a win in hockey is a little bit crazy. I mean, they're playing multiple games a week. So being 0-6 until last night, they needed that win. And with Max Celebrini and Will Smith, they're the power duo for the Sharks. They make sure when they're on the ice, they find each other, they shoot those goals, and they are winning.
Yeah, like you said, the power duo. I was going to bring up Will Smith this last game. He had himself a decent game too, and it gets overshadowed by the hat trick. I mean, Celebrini gets a total of 5 points with 2 assists and his 3 goals, but Will Smith goes 2 goals, 2 assists. And how do you see this going for the rest of the Sharks for the Sharks the rest of the season?
I'm hopeful. I mean, they're definitely in a rebuilding state right now, but that's okay. That's a lot of teams with hockey right now. If the team just makes sure to keep Mac and Will together as a duo, work on that duo, work around them, bring in some new people through trades or within the next season, look at younger talent, because Mac and Will are only 19 and 20 years old. They have time to continue, and I can see them eventually going way further.
Yeah, and then you mentioned they're still this young team. They really don't have that veteran presence, which kind of, I think, is part of the reason. We talked about this with basketball. It's getting just a leader to kind of help lead your team. But William Eklund, I would say, is probably one of their higher leader presences that can still do that. Last night he had 3 assists. I mean, again, this team not really having, I mean, they have their 2 goal scorers, but who do they go to after that?
After that, you're just kind of going down the roster for sure. I mean, Mac and Will are definitely going to be their top 2 to go to. Looking at the Sharks, their past losses have been pretty close. So it's not like they're a terrible team and they're not making goals. They're making goals, but it's maybe not choosing the right people to put on the ice at the right times.
Like you said, a lot of close games. You see them play Vegas as their first game. They take that one in overtime, as well as playing Anaheim. But outside of that, I mean, they're losing 3-0 to Pittsburgh, 6-3 to Utah, who's been playing fantastic, surprisingly.
Oh, yeah.
And then 5-1 to Carolina and 4-3 to New York. So they've been playing tighter games than we've expected. We expected them to come in and be just terrible, get that another first-round pick for them. But they have not done that. But a team that has done the opposite, who the Sharks go and play just tonight, the New Jersey Devils. They are on fire, to say the least.
They're red hot. I mean, 6-1, first in their division. I want to say, I think they're first within the hockey NHL as well. They're doing really well. They're 4-0 when they're scoring first in a contest, and 5-0 when leading after 2 periods of play. That's something that you don't see, and the Devils definitely have something coming back after last year. There's more coordination. The team is just stronger overall.
They came in, first game, they faced Carolina, a tough opponent. They lose 6-3, but since then, I mean, they have not seen a losing game. I mean, you have Jack Hughes coming in there playing fantastic hockey. So where do you think this Devils team ends up going?
I want to see them go all the way, if I'm being honest. With what we're seeing right now, they can go all the way. Their coach is brand new. This is their second year with their coach, Sheldon Keefe. He's doing really well. Jack Hughes is doing really well. They just put out a new Nico Dawes was the goalie last night for them as well, and he's been doing as well. He made his season debut with the Devils and stopped 29 out of 30 shots from the Wild. That's insane. Those are big numbers, and I think this team has the guts, has the passion to go quite far.
Yeah, and you mentioned Jack Hughes. He has 9 points so far in the season, with that being 6 goals and 3 assists. But leading the team is Jesper Bratt, a kind of a surprising player to lead it. 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. And, I mean, this team is playing physical. They're playing better than ever. Yeah. I mean, this Devils team is definitely a team who can make a run. But what do you see happening to make that run?
I see happening like they did in this past game is bringing in that newer talent. I mean, yes, it's a little bit of a risk to do, but bringing in newer talent and seeing how they mix with the vets is what they need to continue to succeed, and it's been working. I mean, Arseny Gritsuk, he was put in after Cody was scratched due to a upper body energy, and he was then moved into center from wing, and he just immediately took off from that, and having belief into that younger talent is definitely the way to go, and we're seeing that that's what's working for them, and that's what looks like it's going to continue to work for them as well.
And you mentioned some of their goalkeeping, their defense. Jake Allen, who has started most of the games, he's played in 4 of them, 3 wins, but a 1.91 goals against average. He's been fantastic. It's really their dark spot has been Jacob Markstrom, and he hasn't been that bad. He just played the first game, so his stats look a little inflated. And then you mentioned Nico Dawes, who played last night. One goal against average, but I mean, he's been fantastic as well. Yeah. This entire team, defensively, offensively, has been fantastic. Just going ahead and looking at some other, what do they do now? How can they get better? How can they improve onto next week?
I think for next week, they're pretty solid. they're going against the Sharks. We've been seeing what they're doing. I think it's going to be like an easy sweep for them with the Sharks and their team. Jack Hughes, he was out at the end of the last season. Now with him being back, he just earned his third career hat trick during the last game as well. And just, again, combining younger and newer talent with the vets, learning off of each other is the way to go. And I feel like they're going to keep doing that, bringing new people in, giving people new chances, and that's how they're going to get through.
Absolutely. I mean, it all comes down to the new people, and that's something we've had today in Grand Slam with both of our execs not being here. So thank you for watching Grand Slam, and we'll see you next time.